If you have an unquenchable thirst to crush your bucket list, relentlessly pursue your dreams, and live life on your own terms, then turn up the volume and tune in. You're now listening to Zeph and Moses Blacksburg on the Year of Purpose podcast.
This episode of the Year of Purpose is brought to you by our brand new book, Life Rescripted. Find your purpose and design your dream life before the curtains close. If you want to be the first in line to receive a free digital copy from me, all you have to do is head on over to www.liferescriptedbook.com to find out more. Hey everyone, this is Zeph Blacksburg, and this is another episode of the Year of Purpose podcast. I'm joined today by Stevo and Chanel, and they are two creatives with one wanderlust. 0 reasons to stay at home. They're currently traveling around the world in a quest to see how far from home they can get, literally to see how far they can travel from Johannesburg, South Africa, and figuratively to see how far they can push themselves outside of their comfort zones. And today they're joining me all the way from, where are you guys today?
Salzburg, Austria.
Austria. So,
yeah, hey.
Wow, the fact that we can connect, I'm here on the east coast of the United States. I don't even know how many thousands of miles away we are right now.
It's a long, I think if we had to fly, it would take us around 17 hours, I would say, or something silly like that.
So you guys, if this was home, you would be a very far ways away from home.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've done the maths, and Hawaii is the furthest from South Africa we could get in a straight line distance.
That's almost the end goal. We need to get there because that's the furthest point directly on a globe.
Oh, very cool. Well, so you guys have to tell me when you go there first, because I'll have to meet you out there. That's one of the places I haven't been to yet.
You can take up some surf lessons.
Right. So I want to hear about how this all got started, because when I heard about you guys, I found you on Instagram. You guys have an account, I think it's at How Far From Home, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
And so I found you guys on there, and ultimately found your blog online. I want to know where this all starts, because it's such an inspiring thing, and I think there's so many people that crave to do something like what you guys are doing, but people don't take the action. They don't do it because excuse after excuse. So where were you guys when this all started? And I'm sure people are going to wonder, what type of jobs did you work? And ultimately, when was that decision to leave home?
Yeah, I think we were like a lot of other people. We were all talk, no action for quite some time. Chanel was always very, very keen on traveling the world. And we'd been together for about 4 years before we left on our journey, and she had always been dropping hints, and I was like, yeah, maybe we should do this, I don't know,
especially when you were sleeping. I would try brainwash
whispering
you
in my ear. But it got to a point where we both attended the 2014 Design in Derby in Cape Town, and we got to witness a talk by Mr. Stefan Sagmeister about the power of time off and how it's really good for creativity. And us both coming from the creative industry, we both worked in advertising. Chanel was a creative director and I was an art director. This really caught our attention, I think. And, once we heard his speech, it kind of hit home for us. And it was at the back of our minds the entire time. But I think this is when it actually happened. It was a catalyst. And it made us realize that this is something that maybe we can do. Maybe it's beneficial for us. It might not be the worst move for our careers, because I think that's always one of the walls in front of a decision like this. I think from that point on, we decided this is something we could really do, and we saved for a year. We didn't go out. We became hermit crabs at home, and then a year later, we quit our jobs, which was quite tough.
Yeah, I think quitting was the hardest part, because we both loved our work. It wasn't that we didn't like what we were doing. I think we just reached a level of comfort where it was almost too comfortable. We had routines, and it was advertising. Sure, it was exciting and stressful, but it was also the same thing every day. So when you're at that point, your creativity isn't being stimulated, it's not being challenged. So after hearing Stefan's talk and seeing the benefits of it, we thought, well, we're still young, relatively. Mm-hmm. We don't have much to lose, so why the hell not?
And it really isn't a decision that most of us make overnight. And we did give it some thought, and we spoke to family members. They were obviously very encouraging, but it's bittersweet at the same time. And I think we followed our gut, and we really felt that if we take a sabbatical, there could be potentially so much more we could do. I mean, so many doors could open, or even just getting to see the world, which can't be so bad itself.
Very cool. And so I'm just wondering, was there any particular part in hearing that talk that really resonated with you? Only because it takes so many years to make a decision like this, right? You guys have been considering it for quite some time. It wasn't just like, you had thought about it and next week you're off. So I'm just curious, from the standpoint of anyone who, really wants to travel or up and go and do what you guys did, do you think that there was any one part of that talk that really stuck with you and said, all right, we just have to do this?
I suppose we can't speak for everyone, but for creative people, the one thing I think that stood for us was the freedom to experiment and do whatever you want. And we saw Stefan, he did some incredible projects in Bali, and he just got to do anything he wanted. There was no client brief, there was no deadline, well, of course, besides the year, but, you just have complete freedom. And for us, that is the unicorn that we're after. It's we can get up. We get up when we want to get up, and we sleep when we're tired, we eat when we're hungry, and we create when we're inspired. And I think being on a trip like this, we just have so many opportunities, and there is so much inspiration because you're taking in so many different cultures that our work has never been better. Our thinking has evolved. So, I mean, for anyone else considering it, like I would say, why aren't you doing it yet? There's really...
Yeah, I mean, Stefan also spoke about how good it is to get away from your routine, your daily life. And as a creative person, this actually, it's essential because you're doing the same things every day. And if you actually take some time to take a step back, take a deep breath and reflect, your thinking becomes clearer. And I think you're open to more ideas, which as a creative person is quite important.
I think that makes perfect sense. And I'm realizing a trend because I think this happens a lot with creative people. I'm a videographer and I do some photo work from time to time. And I think that when creatives get stuck inside of a box for so long, they really need to get out and explore. And that's exactly where, this craving comes from to travel and see the world. So where did you guys, or how did you guys prepare for this? Obviously it took some time to ease out of the job, and you were saying how you saved up. Was there anything else that you did to, teach yourselves what it was going to be like, or what to pack? I mean, I'm sure you had way more belongings than you could take with you.
Yeah.
So the first step, I think, was figuring out what we actually wanted to do. The idea of traveling the world, it's too big. You almost need to pin it down and decide, what do you actually want to do? And, so we put together a wonder list, which is our version of a bucket list, a traveling bucket list. And we wrote down almost all the things we've always wanted to do. And it gave us some sort of direction as to what we need to research. And, once we knew that, then we could see, okay, well, how much money do you actually need to take a road trip around Norway? And from there, the research almost began. And we found a company called Workaway who organize. They basically partner up hosts with volunteers. So the hosts are offering accommodation and food, and then the volunteers can go and stay there, but in exchange for 3 to 4 hours of work a day. And for us, it's worked like a dream. We worked at the top of Norway at a husky farm or a husky lodge, working with 70 huskies. I mean, we went mushing with them. We got to take a road trip up to the North Cape, which is the northernmost point of Europe. And all it cost us was 2 flights to Norway. So when you look at it like that, it is doable, and you obviously need to choose what you want to do. You can't do everything, but you choose the specifics, and then you go from there. And then we created a bit of an itinerary, and we said, okay, well, let's be in Norway in May, and then let's go spend my birthday in Copenhagen in June, and so forth. And so you kind of start mapping it out.
Yeah, and then I think once you've decided on most of this, you obviously can't have things holding you back. So back home, we had to get rid of pretty much everything. We sold cars, we sold all
our furniture, appliances. We at the end, I think we've been left now with 4 bags, and one of those bags is filled with camera gear because we're both budding photographers, I guess. So we had 1 bag full of camera gear, and then 3 bags of clothes and miscellaneous things. I suppose any tips for that? I would say roll your clothes because you can fit more in. Create a whole bunch of piles that you have to take, you maybe can take, and then you don't really need, and kind of go from there. And it's amazing how little you actually need. That's what we're discovering. I mean, we're leaving stuff behind now as we go. I mean, I think I've left shoes in Athens because I didn't need them anymore, and I thought, oh, this is just weighing me down. So it's as humans, we really don't need a lot.
Very nice. And I love the mentality of minimalism and, only using what you need. I know it's hard as a person with camera gear, so I can definitely relate because I used to be, years ago, I could pack everything I owned into my car within about an hour. And now it's like I've got camera gear everywhere, and there's just no way it would happen. I know I'd be like that person who has 3 bags of camera gear and like a little backpack for my clothes. So
and the problem is you always want more camera gear, don't you?
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
Our rule is if it enhances your experiences, then it's worth it. Everything else you don't need. So
I think that makes perfect sense. I mean, I would definitely follow that if I were getting ready to hit the road. And, that's what I try to do even now when I travel within the country. And so something that you guys brought up there, and I'm sure is on people's minds right now, is always financials. And how does all this stuff work? You brought up a good point that there are places where you can work and trade for, your stay and your food. And maybe just talk a little bit about financials and how your perspective of money has changed since you guys started this trip.
So we are using a app called Trail Wallet. I think it was created by other travel bloggers, and it's really useful. We budget per month. So at the beginning of the trip, we took all the cash we had from the savings, from selling our cars, from selling our furniture, and then we said, okay, let's divide this between the 12 months, and then let's stick to monthly budgets, because I think if you just want to go and spend, after 6 months you're going to be broke. So we were quite wise that way, I think. And then we balanced it out. So some months we lie low and we do things for free, i.e. we take our camera out and we go for a walk. Sometimes people forget that you can do things for free. Not everything costs. And then on other months we would, plan more trips into Italian cities or Copenhagen or Stockholm or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I think you just got to get a good idea of what you want to do, where you want to go, and how much that's going to cost. And
it really is as simple as that. And
you just got to stick to that budget.
And you also, you don't have to do all the touristy things. You don't have to eat at the most expensive restaurants. We're kind of dining like locals in all these places because we're checking out like all the street food, and it's cool. It's €3 for a hot dog versus €20 for a massive meal at a restaurant two shops away. So you don't always need to go the extravagant route.
Yeah, and another one of the things which we have done this year, it might not be the best way, but it's the way we've done it, is we booked a lot of our transport ahead of time. There's a benefit because you're going to be paying less the earlier you book. I would say the downside is that if you start to like a certain country or place, you've got your ticket out of there booked already, so you wouldn't be able to extend your stay. These are things that, we're kind of finding out if it's good or bad, but it definitely saved us money in the long run.
And then for accommodation, I mean, besides using Workaway and working, we check out something like hotels.com, Airbnb, Hostel World. We're constantly looking between the three and always going with the cheapest route. You know, for us, we're not looking. The trip's purpose is not to go and stay in luxurious accommodations in all the cities we go to. We just want to have a bed, somewhere to stay, and then we go out and we explore. So for us, it's always the cheapest route.
Right. And I'm sure in some locations, like I've been looking into Thailand as one of my next trips. And, you know, there you can get a luxury apartment for, you know, like $20 a night, which is next to nothing. I mean, my rent at my apartment here or at my townhouse here is probably more than the rent there for an entire month. So there are definitely some places where I'm sure you get the opportunity to live a little bit more comfortably, but you really, I'm sure once you have your creature comforts of food, water, shelter, and entertainment, you know, you guys are pretty much set.
Absolutely. I think we started out one of our second destinations was Norway, and Norway has to be one of the most expensive places in Europe and maybe possibly the world. So I think we're heading off to Thailand this weekend, and I think we're also going to be a lot happier with the exchange rate. And that's another thing. We're coming from South Africa, and the South African rand isn't as strong as we wanted it to be. I think to the euro it's 15-1. So plan on where you want to go. I think we wanted to see Norway, we wanted to see Scandinavia, but if we had to do this again, we definitely would go for cheaper countries with a better exchange rate to our own.
Yeah, and so you guys have been on the road for, is it over 6 months now?
Hedging on 8 months soon, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there.
Wow. And so the original plan was just a year?
Yeah. So the plan was a year-long sabbatical, and but at the moment we actually have no idea what the plan is. A year will obviously be marked in February, so we are going back to South Africa. We have a wedding and a couple prior arrangements that we have to attend, but other than that, we're not entirely sure what our next plan is. So we quite like it that way. We're trying to stay in the moment and enjoy the ride, but if we had it our way, we probably wouldn't give this life up.
We'll do it for as long as we can, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds like you're having experiences that, you know, some people only dream of. And to do that for a year, I'm sure you'd be hungry to go back for more. You know, it's always great to stop back at home and see family and friends. And, you know, they're probably watching your adventures right now and saying, oh, I wish I could be there. And so it must be a really good feeling to be able to go back and at least share that with them and know that you could go back out at any point in time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about just where you guys have been since you started, because you've been out for almost a year. You know, we're 3/4 of the way through a year. And, you know, what were some of your favorite experiences? Did you ever run into any scary experiences in certain cities or anything like that?
So we've done most of Europe. That's been a huge priority for us. We both have European roots, so for us it was all about getting to the roots and seeing the beautiful cultures. And it's so convenient in Europe because you hop on a train and 10 minutes later you're in a different country. So we've really enjoyed it. We've done Austria quite a lot. We've done Germany, most of Scandinavia. We've done Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Mm-hmm. Then we've done Greece and Italy and Turkey. Yeah, and Turkey most recently. So a lot of Germany. Central Europe is kind of where we've been hanging out for a lot of the time. Yeah, and I mean some of the highlights. I think we went sailing for 5 days through Greek Isles, which was incredible. We went and met up with some friends there. We got to hang out with friends who are actually holidaying in Istanbul. So friends from Johannesburg flew out to Istanbul, and of course we had to drop everything and go see them. So that was very rewarding. Then we worked at a dog training facility in Italy, close to Florence, which was incredible. I think just the zest from living with such selfless people was eye-opening for us. We did a month in Sweden, and we also decided to go unplug that month. So that was a very interesting month for us because part of one of the things we wanted to do this year was to go unplugged completely from the internet and from family and friends. So during our month in Sweden, it was quite hard because the weather there wasn't great. I mean, it was 5 degrees in the middle of summer.
It's midsummer and it's just raining and cold, and we're like, this is what they live for.
Yeah, and that was one of our workaway experiences where the jobs we had to do was cleaning toilets and doing laundry. So we've got that, we've got rain outside, and we completely disconnected from the world. So that month, I think itself was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah, but it was so good.
It was so good. And then I think just the time in Norway, working at the Husky Lodge, I mean, driving up to the North Cape and spending my birthday in Copenhagen, eating at Noma. We've had some incredible experiences.
I mean, we saw the midnight sun in Norway, which is something we'd been wanting to see for a while, which just blew our mind away. And it seems that every place we go, we say, this is our new favorite city. I think we have a problem.
Oh man, that would give me a hard time too, because I would want to stay, but then you're tempted by, a new place you want to go see and you don't want to leave, but that's so cool.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. And so, a big fear that people have in traveling, not only money-wise, which you guys have totally crushed, which is great. I love when you have a really cool solution. So you shared a great app, you shared, a great opportunity to work in trade for a living and food. A lot of people are concerned just about how safe it is in certain areas and crime rates and things like that. Have you guys been safe the whole trip? I mean, I know that in Europe it's a little different than in Asia or somewhere else, but just curious to hear from your standpoint, what's it been like?
We've been perfectly safe and everything's actually been really, really good.
I think coming from South Africa, I mean, we both love South Africa, but the crime rate there is incredibly high, especially in Johannesburg, which was our hometown. So I think we're kind of used to knowing boundaries and knowing what you should be doing and you shouldn't be doing. Going into city centers at 11 o'clock at night, not the best idea. So I think we're kind of prepared for that already. I think the only, I would say, miserable situation that we've had was coming from Munich to Salzburg. We got stuck at the border because of the refugee crisis, so that hit us quite hard. All trains were cut off, and we'd booked a train previously, so we knew nothing about it. And we had to somehow get a bus and then find a German lady who would help us. And it was a bit of a mission, but we got around to it. But besides that, I think we've always got each other's back as well. So it helps when you're traveling with someone.
Yeah, definitely. I've always met up with people along the way, even when I do travel solo. And I think that you're absolutely right. As long as you just, use your brain and think smart about things, then you probably don't run into much. And that's really great to hear, because I know that some people are afraid to travel just because of that. And there really should be no reason for them to hold back. So 100%. How are you guys, documenting this trip? I know you guys have a blog, and, what are you going to do with the story when you go back home at the end of the year?
Sure. Yeah, I think we like to stay present, so we haven't quite thought about how or what we're going to do with our story and what we're going to, if we're going to take it anywhere. But I mean, we started off with Instagram for us as creatives, and we love photography. It seemed like the perfect fit to document our travels. And luckily enough, we've actually got some coverage on Instagram so far, which has actually really helped us. The nice thing is that we're growing a community on our Instagram account, and they're giving us things to do. If we say we're going to Istanbul in 2 days' time, we get so many
suggestions from locals.
We've met up with a few people, so it's almost becoming a new way of traveling for us, which is it's really interesting and it's eye-opening, and it just makes you can connect with so many people. And then we're obviously blogging at the same time, which we love to do. Chanel's a great writer. She does most of the writing. And that's just almost like a diary for us.
A diary and a portfolio for our work. I mean, as we, take photos and create art and meet up with people, that's kind of where we document everything. And it's also where we house our Wonderlist. So as we do things, we cross them off, and then Steve just spoke about this community that we've built up, and as people send us suggestions of things to do and places to go, we're adding it to the Wonder List. So it started out with 69 items, and now it's sitting on like 350 of things to do. So we need to get to it and do all these things.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And so what advice do you have for anyone who, sees people like you doing this and says, oh man, I dream of doing this? What is it that you would want to say to them?
I would say, why haven't you done it? Honestly, what we've learned is that it doesn't close any doors, it opens doors. Whether you're just making friends with people all around the world, or as I said earlier, you're just getting to see different places and different cultures. You're learning that every culture has a different way of doing things, and it shows you that you don't have to do something a certain way. There's other ways to do things, and they can all be as successful as the rest.
And I would say, don't fear the financial side of it. There are ways around it. Using services like Workaway, you can go and you can stay with a family and they'll cover all the costs that you need. And there are ways around it. You don't have to be, turned back by that.
Yeah, I think with a little bit of financial planning and almost having no ties back home. You don't want a cell phone contract that you have to pay or a gym contract that you have to pay. These are some of the smaller things that you need to think out. So give yourself enough time, plan for a year and a half. I would say find someone to do it with. It's definitely easier than traveling alone. You can share the load, whether it's booking and just financially. And is there anything else?
What else? I'm trying to think.
Just have fun. Be curious, because you just need to learn. That's the whole point.
And also be prepared that the hardest part of this trip is saying goodbye to the people that you meet. I think for us, that has been we've been in tears saying goodbye to Huskies and their owners. And it's tough because when you get such a great relationship going with people like this, you become part of their family, and you're there for 4 weeks and then you leave, and then it's like, I might never see you again.
Yeah, and on that note, it's just people help you out. We found that you're almost not alone when you're traveling. Like the connections you have with people, and it's the human spirit is just really, really good. And we've been offered some places to stay. We've been offered food. We've been offered all sorts of things.
People stop us in the road when they see we're looking at a map. They're like, please, can I help you? And it's like, oh, sure, please. I have no idea how to pronounce these things. So it's very cool.
So if you could pick one place as a starting point that you recommend to people, which country do you think, or even city, do you think that people should go to?
Wow.
Sure. It is tough. I think one of our favorite cities is, other than Salzburg, Austria, just because we love it, is Copenhagen. Copenhagen is really, really cool. The people are very friendly. It's a beautiful city. And I would suggest hiring a bike to go around that. And then maybe if you can afford it, do a bit of Scandinavia and then work your way down into Europe.
Awesome. Well, I think that sounds like a plan. I might have to do that one.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, Stevo and Chanel, this has been awesome. I want to make sure that people can, follow your journey and listen to your story. What is the best place for them to keep track of where you guys are and to support you guys in this?
So I think, predominantly our blog, which is howfarfromhome.com, and then on Instagram at howfarfromhome. We're also on Twitter at howfarfromhome. And then our personal Instagram accounts, we kind of show more imagery. So if they want, it's at Chanel Cartel and at Stevo Dernberger. But you can get everything on the blog, so you can go there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being here, guys, and enjoy the rest of the journey. I'm excited to see what happens after this year and what next year has in store for you.
Thanks so much, and maybe we'll come meet up with you in Washington.
You should. I'm happy to give you guys a tour. I hear I'm a pretty good tour guide, so let me know.
Yay, cool.
Great, thank you.
This episode of The Year of Purpose is brought to you by our brand new book, Life Rescripted. Find your purpose and design your dream life before the curtains close. If you want to be the first in line to receive a free digital copy from me, all you have to do is head on over to www.liferescriptedbook.com to find out more. I've discovered what I think is the world's most effective process to design your path in life. It'd be a shame if I didn't share it. In Life Rescripted, you will discover the #1 strategy for determining your life purpose and how you can start a new path today, the 5X life hack rule for accomplishing your dreams and designing your life on your own terms 5 times faster, the ultimate solution for fear and how you can leverage it right now to make this year your best year yet, and so much more. Reserve your spot in line to get a free copy at www.liferescriptedbook.com, and I will see you in the next episode.